What would you do if you could resurrect someone from the dead? Use it only if it had no drawbacks? Use it even if you had to sacrifice yourself? Or use it no matter the cost, or rather, no matter who you had to sacrifice in the process? Paranormasight, the Seven Mysteries of Honjo, seeks to answer that question, all through a horror mystery visual novel where 9 men and women engage in a battle of wits over the mysterious occult art known as the Rite of Resurrection, where their lives are on the line. And what you'll end up getting by reading this is one interesting story, one that will certainly get you involved. Because across 9 characters split among 5 routes, you'll get to see their unique stories and perspectives. There's Okiie Shogo, an ordinary office worker who ends up going along with his co-worker to investigate a well-known local ghost story. There's Sakazaki Yoko, a high school student who's investigating the suicide attempt of her childhood friend. Tsutsumi Tetsuo, a gruff veteran detective who's investigating a series of strange, unusual deaths as a former member of the Paranormal Affairs Bureau. And Shiguma Haruwe, a mother who hires a private investigator to uncover the truth behind her deceased son's kidnapping and murder case. We have people from a lot of different backgrounds and occupations, all making their own individual investigations into the 7 mysteries and the Rite of Resurrection. Like ordinary people, some initially regarded it as pure fantasy. That is, until strange spirits and mysterious events begin to appear. Or the more drastic option, they themselves are forced to participate in this ritual. For some, like Tetsuo, see it as a major headache. Meanwhile, others, like Haruwe, see it as a chance opportunity. And what happens when these individuals interact with one another becomes very interesting, especially since completing the Rite of Resurrection requires the gathering of human souls. In another way, Paranormasight operates very similarly to a death game. Individuals involved in the ritual are granted items called curse stones. To resurrect the dead, they need to fill their stones with souls, either by using their stone's special curse on others, or by stealing souls from other curse stone users. However, each stone's specific curse can only be activated under specific conditions, leading to a strategic battle where participants try to use their curse on others while avoiding triggering their opponent's curse. By this premise alone, Paranormasight sets up this death game horror thriller vibe, which is what I was expecting in its prologue, but that's not what you'll end up getting at all. While it may seem that way at first, the story quickly establishes that it's actually more of an investigative mystery, one that spans multiple character perspectives with a touch of character-driven moments. You'll get to navigate through each main character's story as they continue towards their goals, and how the story does this is through Paranormasight's story chart. What's interesting is that in some segments, you'll get to a certain point in your current character's scene where progress will be halted, and the only way to continue their story is by fulfilling some other condition that needs to happen, either by moving other main characters to certain locations for them to be interrogated, or by obtaining information from one route to be used in another. For as much as this visual novel is an investigative horror mystery, you can also think of it as a story-focused puzzle game. There's an instance in which one of the characters that you follow finds themselves stuck in an escape room situation, and I found the solution to call for help pretty inventive. Paranormasight makes plentiful use of all these different perspectives in order to give you, the reader, a full insight into the mystery and for you to help guide these characters towards their resolutions, even being cheeky in doing so. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that Paranormasight will get you involved. It quite literally does, involving itself in some meta elements. Some of these solutions are pretty difficult to figure out given how unorthodox and out of the box they are. Once you figure it out, you'll see why it's a pretty neat way of making use of the visual novel's unique medium. And by the end of the story, I was impressed with how it all tied together into the main narrative. It's not too ambitious like some other mystery visual novels out there, but it's one that gave me a thumbs up and solid approval. I do wish there were more of these elements though, as I still felt I was simply watching and occasionally providing hints rather than being actively involved in the events going on, especially considering what happens to a critical character later on. But you might be wondering, isn't it difficult to keep track of all these different characters and background lore? Well, yes, I do agree. However, the game has this helpful glossary and lore section where you can easily reference back to anytime for help. Stuff like bios on certain characters, in-depth information on locations and events, and even background details about the mysteries themselves. Very important, since you have to figure out how to activate your curse, as well as how to avoid other people's curses. The game does quiz you from time to time. I'm just glad it was an open book exam exam with no consequences for any wrong answers. Hell, it even helped me figure out what I needed to do in order to avoid triggering a curse and getting a bad ending. Well, I say bad ending, but for some it might actually just be their good ending. Only at the cost of a couple of human lives, but that's besides the point for them. Now, one important note, I will admit I did have to look up a guide on how to figure out some puzzles, but that's just me because I'm bad at mysteries. Obvious skill issue, but perhaps you might have a better shot. If there's one thing I will say, finding how to access the true ending is very unintuitive. I don't know how would you find that normally unless you are actively rereading all of the story to find any changes. Now, these characters might think that this is some childish occult rumor, but when people are dying, maybe it really is worth looking into. The damned screams of the dead screeching about "kill them all" might also be another indicator. The presentation really helped sell that urban occult mystery atmosphere. That first-person perspective really adds to the immersion, perhaps a bit too much. When the game is in your control, drag the screen or move the right stick to look around. By looking at your surroundings. Ooh, this is neat. Ah! 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 Don't do that! Don't do that! Oh, man, I'm gonna hate this game, aren't I? Not good at jump scares, don't do that. Paranormasight isn't that scary, but is just the right amount to create that ominous mood, jump scares included. It looks like I'll be spotted out quickly. I'll hide behind a tree to move out of line of sight. I don't see anyone, boss. I don't think he noticed. He's not turning around. Hello? Oh, okay. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This place gets me on edge. I feel like the moment I just go to look at him, he's gonna come back again and hit me. I should be okay. Now to listen to the rest of their conversation. Ah! Stop it! Stop! I hate that! No! I do it too! Which goes to say, strangely I found the sound effects pretty damn effective. Sure as hell startling. Extra praise goes to Paranormasight's amazing main theme song. Almost just makes me forget about the game's lackluster true ending and how shockingly obvious who the mastermind was. That isn't to say I didn't have a good time with this. A lot of my enjoyment was in how these characters interacted and how their personal values and opinions were either changed or solidified thanks to the rite of resurrection. It may have started out as this death game horror thriller, but I'm a fan of the direction it ultimately decided to take. Which is why I would highly recommend this title to any beginner visual novel readers out there. Paranormasight is an alright game. A welcome introduction to horror visual novels that's both decent storytelling wise and concise for a short 10-hour read. Now, if you're interested in another great horror visual novel, you might want to check out this video over here, or check out this video over here for a list of general recommendations. I would also like to thank everyone on Patreon for supporting me in covering visual novels. You guys are fantastic, and if you would like to be a part of that effort, please consider subscribing.